Welcome back, everybody. Inside the Music, I'm your host, StereoRuss, and today we've got the one, we've got the only, Gareth Inkster, everybody.
Hello.
Gareth, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Well, I've been looking forward to our chat. I feel like each time we've talked outside of in general, in the real world, as it were, I've always felt like we talk well together. Like there seems to be like a mutual interest or kind of mutual energy in a certain way, whether that's just music or what, I don't know. But yeah. So I've been looking forward to this.
And I will say too that every time I kind of run into you, this and that, like a great energy. I love your work and the stuff that you've been doing. For those that don't know, piano player in Golden Feather, played in a bunch of other little projects here and there, and you have your own really interesting project where you're singing and playing guitar, which we'll get into. So before we get into things, I want to say thanks for taking the time coming in. I know it's a midweek and that's not always easy, and I really appreciate it.
I feel like the grateful one, man. This is great.
So for those that don't know, I already set the table, but why don't you kind of give people a bit of a I'm Gareth, here's what's going on.
Sure. I'm Gareth Inkster. I play keys in Golden Feather. I do some of the writing, and we all kind of do some of the writing. I sing a bit as well. I've been in Hamilton I'm 33 now. I came here when I was 18, so that long.
Those amount of years.
That's 50 years. Math teacher, 15? Is that
yeah,
right?
something. Yeah.
And kind of as soon as I landed here, I got going doing some music stuff. I was initially at school for that, and I got connected with Scott Orr in town, who runs Other Songs Music, and at that time, many of my friends were involved in that label, and so I was in a band called the Good Hunters. We were the band in town, and we used to play at the Baltimore House all the time. And we used to play on King William in its former form, you know.
Yeah.
A lot.
The King William circuit.
Yeah. Honestly, I think literally all the venues we used to play in all the time are now gone.
Yep.
You know, literally. The Corktown remains, I guess, but we didn't play there very much, though I loved it there. But I was in other Good Hunters, which were signed to Other Songs, and then kind of through Scott, I started kind of playing on a bunch of other records because I can play some violin too and guitar and stuff. So I kind of was a Swiss Army knife for him kind of thing, just for different projects, and I loved that role. And then when I was like, I don't know, when would this have been? 2016, 2017. I started finally doing my own stuff, kind of something that's kind of plagued me. I think it's probably pretty common, is that I'll be conceptually working on stuff for a long time without doing anything, you know? So in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I know that like I'm doing all these things, but I'm working on my own stuff. I'll get that at some point. I'll get to that at some point. And then finally, in like 2016, 2017, I put out my first song of my own, and then kind of followed that up with a bunch of other stuff I recorded at Sheepdog Studios out in the East End there. At this point, and then Golden Feather came along. Brad asked me to play, and I said, yeah. And that has been the rocket that's kind of carried me furthest as far as like playing the coolest gigs and with neat musicians who are more successful than me and stuff. Like that's been, and the guys in Golden Feather are great guys and really talented as well. So I've become much better as a musician because of that. I owe a lot to all those guys. And so now I'm kind of, it had been a long time since I'd done my own stuff, and I'm just had to kind of redefine for myself what it would mean to do my own stuff. Like, we can get to that too. But I just started putting stuff out again recently, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I feel kind of excited about it. I got a couple of things coming down the pipe. So
I love it. Yeah, and you're one of you're super talented guys. You're one of the most talented people in town. And I say that non-facetiously because you are so talented in different instruments and everything you do. It just sounds like gold. I want to, no pun intended, but I want to get into Golden Feather just a little bit.
As much as you want.
When I first got introduced to the band, it was through bass player Ronson, who I know we live in the same. We actually live on the same street.
Oh, is that right?
So it's kind of very coincidental. You know, I kind of met him around COVID, and he's like, "Oh, I'm doing this project, with Brad from Into the Abyss called Golden Feather," and I listened. Okay, and people show their stuff, and you, as a friend, or you kind of give the support. Mm-hmm. But then I was looking at it, and in the era where songs are 2-3 minutes long,
shorter and shorter,
he's showing me these songs, and the first 3 or 4 are like 7, 8, 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these guys are really doing their own thing.
Totally.
Yeah. So I from that moment, I'm like, I like that ethos.
Yeah.
It's not a jam band.
I mean, I think that is probably the label that would be most liberally slapped onto us. I would assume.
Yeah. But you're just a band that jams and isn't afraid to put it on record.
Yeah, I think like within the jam sections, like I think it would be safe to say we're a jam band, but there's still quite a bit of form that the jams occur in, you know?
Yeah.
We will go free form on certain things live, and every now and then if someone starts down a path, we'll follow it. But usually there is a structure wherein these things happen, you know?
For sure. And so one of the things I do love about your band too is that you've got like Steve on the drums, you got Ronson on the bass, and like they are such a rock. They're like cores that all of the rest of you can kind of just like goof with.
Totally. Like it's without them, the center cannot hold. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and it's fun. Like you guys can really like play around. And I love the visual, like kind of not banter. It wouldn't be the word. The kind of looks you and Steve give one another.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we set up. If you haven't seen us live,
the drums are.
Yeah, no, sure. The drums are stage left, side wash, like facing in, and then I'm sitting on the keys, stage right, facing across. Like Steve and I are looking right at each other, and then everyone between is in this kind of semicircle. So the person furthest from the front of the stage is Brad, who's
the singer.
Usually the foreman, as it were. Yeah. No, that's the frontman rather. And yeah, so we can all. There's always a line of sight between any two members of the band, kind of thing.
Yeah, which is really cool. You're not doing the turnover.
Totally.
Oh, they're looking for a cue.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's all communicative. Yeah.
But I love it because when I see you guys looking at each other, I can feel that there's like a playfulness.
Totally.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
You and Steve have like a little bond.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
And there are things. There are like unspoken things that I have with basically each member where when like that part of the song comes, there's a little like.
What do you mean that part?
Yeah. So I put that in quotes for those who are listening. Like. In various songs, there will be things that like I always have a little shared moment with one of the other members of the band, right? So I can say like Steve and I haven't really talked about it, but there's a thing that happens halfway through the chorus, rather halfway through the double chorus of the song Awakenings, where he does this like very straight up just snare fill, where it's just like this crescendo on eighth note, da, 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 and I love it, and I always kind of stand up and like lean into it, and so we always like connect on that spot, and kind of like there's not much of a punchline, but it makes us laugh, you know, like that kind of thing. Or Brad and I have this thing in Devil's Eyes too, where we've never spoken about it in person, and I don't want to, like you know what I mean, like if you're listening to this, Brad, don't bring it up.
Yeah, but just move on to the next part of this episode.
Yeah, where like whenever it happens, we do this thing together. We look at each other, it's like, oh yeah, that thing, you know, and that couldn't happen without the semicircle thing, and like those shared moments. If we didn't have that kind of line of communication, those things couldn't develop.
It really comes through as a audience member that you guys are having fun.
Mm-hmm. We are, yeah, on
stage, and I love the whole thing with the drum, with the snare hit.
Yeah.
So he does that every single.
Well, it's one of his parts. Like it's not like
because it's hard to tell as like an audience member like what are parts.
Oh, like what's
and what's being like, is he just like improvising a thing? So that's something that like
totally
has become concrete.
Yeah, it has. I think there's probably more for certain members, like for Ronson and Steve. There's probably a lot more that's concrete.
Right. That makes sense.
That's not to say they don't improvise. They definitely do. But I can't really speak for Brad. He's just kind of always a sock in the wind, you know. But is that a thing? A windsock's a thing. Anyways, you know what I mean?
A sock in the wind. I mean, it's a thing now.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have brought attention to it. But so Brad is just kind of like, Brad is Brad. And then between Daniel Murray and I think there's always a lot more kind of, I don't know if we play many things the same way twice, you know?
Right.
With exceptions, but for the most part, like, there are few things that I'm doing identically each time because I'm just not really I'm just kind of playing it in that moment, you know.
Yeah. Did you write Just For Now?
I did. Well, yes, I wrote the music. Brad wrote the lyrics. I wrote that. It was funny, that one, because if you listen to my solo stuff, you won't hear something like that, you know. But we had been playing around with some of that kind of funky stuff, like retro stuff, like not what's it called? Never Give Up had been written a little while before that. That was kind of becoming a mainstay in the set, and a couple others kind of in that sound. And then I thought, well, I want to see if I can do something like that. So I just thought, I'm going to try to write a song that is in that world, which I'd never done before. So now I just like sent maybe Brad and Steve, this voice memo, like da 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 da, like literally singing la 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 da 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 da, and then Brad liked it, and then like probably the next day he just sent me back verse chorus. Just sent me these lyrics. He's like, "How about these?" And I was like, he was cranking out lyrics at that point in his life. He was kind of going through some stuff, and it was just spilling out of him in these songs. And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, take it." Like that's that. And then that's how they got written. I tweaked one or two, but not many.
I love that. That's my favorite Golden Feather song.
Oh, dude. I'll take that. That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, that song is just like, it just hits.
Yeah.
It's groovy.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure, I'm like, that's a Ronson track, baby.
Oh, I mean, like, I didn't write the parts. Like, I didn't tell Ronson what to do. You know what I mean? Like, so.
But you brought that core ethos to it. And then,
Sure,
and then Ronson did his thing. And But like, you brought that funky.
I'll take it, man. I appreciate that. I love playing it. Like, it's fun to kind of stretch my legs in that way. You know, I've done very little like that, and so it's a lot of fun to just kind of wear that hat for a bit. You know?
Yeah, it's nice to do something a little bit outside of your. Mm-hmm. So I'll ask you to kind of wrap this Golden Feather kind of section here.
Sure.
What's your favorite song? Either just like just my favorite song of all time of Golden Feather.
Yeah.
And or your favorite song to perform.
Yeah. Okay, good questions. The first song that I kind of really was involved in the writing process for was a song, I think it's only been released in live form, I think on the album Welcome Release, the live album from Bridgeworks just around here.
It's not far from here, yeah.
But the song Forgiveness, I really love that song. It's really meaningful. And it's got this B section, that's the part that I kind of provided the harmony for. And that B section, it slows right down. It's just kind of like complete left turn. You know, it's kind of it's interesting song form, and it's really tender. And Brad came up with these really sweet lyrics, which I think he was singing to his son, if I remember correctly. And so it's really tender in that way. And then when the final chorus comes in again, we kind of break the form up again and just kind of sing this refrain over and over again. And then when the band kicks in, the harmony is slightly different in this way that the melody still runs true, but the harmony kind of changes the context of it, and there's a pathos to it. I love that. There's a song right now that we're doing that Daniel actually brought the meat and potatoes of the song to the band. It's called Around the Bend. It's not recorded yet.
Yeah, I've heard this one.
Yeah. It's on YouTube. There's Sheila. There's some wonderful people that if you look up Stella Blue, BLU, on YouTube. If you look at Golden Feather live, chances are the video you see will be filmed by her. They come to every show and they film every show, so you can find it there. But Around the Bend, and the chorus is just so, the harmony is so interesting, and Murray, Daniel, and I, we take turns soloing. We take 2 passes of this solo each through the chords of the chorus, and basically, if you can run that gauntlet, it doesn't matter what you do, the harmony makes it sound impressive. You know, like no matter what you do, it'll sound like you did something cool, which is nice for me because I don't really got the chops that those guys have. But I love playing that song. That song hits every time for me. Yeah,
the harmonies. When I listen to you guys perform live, I really love how your specific harmonies cut through, and I don't know what it is.
The first thing that came to mind is just the harsh nasal tone of my voice, maybe,
yeah, there's a frequency that maybe
I've always sung with. I just use the device that I have, not the one that I would choose, you know. But I don't. I'm also, you know what it probably is that I'm usually on top. I'm usually above. I'm usually the highest voice, and so that's going to be the thing that's easiest to pick out. That's probably just very practically what it is.
Yeah, so I don't actually like it. I just hear it loudly. No,
it could be. I mean, it's a plug-in trick. You know? Make it louder. Yeah, that could be what it is. That's my guess.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. It really is. I do love your harmonies, man. I think
really
it's great.
It.
And for those listening, again, Gareth Inkster, the one who inks. You can, if you want to find Gareth on the internet, where would people be able to find you?
Yeah. Instagram is probably like the main hub for most people these days. I'm on all the streaming services too, like my solo stuff is, as is Golden Feather. Golden Feather is also on Instagram. Golden Feather Band, I think, is the Instagram handle. Whereas I'm just straight up my name, Gareth Inkster. And I think I'm the only one on there with that pairing of names. So you'll if you found one, it's me. I'm on Facebook too and all that sort of thing. You know, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I got off that years ago. But just the usual.
Yeah. If you see Gareth on Facebook, he's buying and selling audio gear.
Yeah, that's not untrue.
You know, the big thing for me, and this might be a good kind of tie into the next conversation piece, is like the lighting is what really.
Yes.
As soon as I got lights, everyone thought I got new cameras.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes. I believe that.
And I say that because you just did a project.
Yeah, literally, this is what I was thinking of, actually. Yeah, as you said that. Yeah.
Where you, I mean, I shouldn't tell the story, but basically, you drove up to Manitoulin and you recorded an album. That's the nuts and bolts of it, right?
Yeah. That makes it sound more legit than it feels to me. But yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
So tell us about it.
Last year, on the side of the road, I found this just sitting out with someone's garbage, this like cardboard box, 80s probably, from the 70s or 80s. It was, I forget what it was called, but it was like portable studio or something. And it was a tape recorder with this external microphone that had this like very narrow cable that it connected to and whatever. And the only power source in it was this couldn't have been original, but the only power source in it was like the cigarette lighter of the car. I don't think we call them that anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What else you call that
thing.
power? That thing. You remember those? I remember pushing them in.
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do.
So anyways, I was like, this is cool. Like, and crucially, I was going to Manitoulin like that day. It's like, oh, what if I like recorded songs on this thing on the way up? So I did that. And then when I got home, it turns out the thing was broken, which is why I was being thrown out. So I couldn't actually listen back. The audio was so corrupted, and so I tried cleaning it up digitally, and it just wasn't a thing. So I didn't end up pursuing that. And then this year, I came into possession of I bought a Zoom recorder,
like one of those Zoom H4s.
I think it was an H4. Yeah.
And for those that don't know, they have like audio. They have two microphones on it, but then you can also plug in like XLRs.
2 XLRs on mine.
Okay.
Yeah. There's different tiers of them. The one that we're describing here, there's two. There's an XY orientation mic on top, and you can record in the field basically. And so I thought, I'm just gonna do this, and like I don't have any video gear at all, I have a tripod that I got when I was sort of dabbling with stop motion videos just for fun at home with a lofty plan that never came to be. But I was like, I'm just going to do it, like, and there's a G.K. Chesterton quote that has been very motivating to me in many, many areas of creativity, where he says, anything worth doing is worth doing badly, If the option is to do it and it will be done poorly, or not do it, but it's something worth doing, just do it. Like that's better. Anything worth doing is also worth doing well, but that's a different thing.
But you're willing to take the emotional sacrifice of something failing or not going well, because you want to do it so
totally.
much.
You just want to do it, like the world isn't worse because this thing exists, So I did that. So I had a couple songs in mind, and I didn't have them all picked, but I had enough songs, is I guess what I mean. And then as I was driving up north, I love Manitoulin. It's a very important place for those on the video. Like that tattoo there is a
you
location.
Want to show the camera that one.
This camera you're saying? Oh, this camera there.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a location on Manitoulin.
Cool.
I was just driving up and just kind of you'd see somewhere pretty and it's like, oh, that looks cool, I'll stop there. And there's a couple other locations that I knew about, so I stopped at those. And it was beautiful. It took me forever to get there, but I had the best time. I was just very much just in it. So I stopped at these locations and then I set up the tripod with my phone as the camera.
So your phone was the camera on
that? It was just my iPhone, yeah. And then I just recorded them and then synced them together, did a little bit of just like mixing of the audio, not much. There's only three mics going.
You had one mic for your guitar and one mic for your voice?
Sort of. I basically just I had headphones so I could monitor how it sounded.
Yep.
I set the Zoom recorder on the ground, just tilted up on the mic stand, pointing kind of vaguely at me, because I wanted to get some of the ambience of the areas too. And then I just put a single condenser mic kind of out from the guitar, but facing up toward my voice, maybe just a bit above the sound hole.
So you can kind of catch both?
Yeah. And just as long as I could hear both, I was happy with that. And then I just mixed that together and then stuck them to the video. And you can definitely tell, unlike this nice lighting setup you got here where we look nice and crisp and crystal clear in these cameras, it's like grainy as all get out on those videos, especially as it got darker and darker.
Yeah.
So at one point, the second to last one, I was up at Spanish River and it was full nighttime at this point. But I just used my car lights, and I was like, so I turned on the car light. Yeah. And I just set up in front of the car. And then the last one, I was about 2 minutes from my destination, but I wanted to record in a specific spot because of its connection to my father, and the song I wrote was for my father. But there were people sleeping in cabins just kind of all along the shoreline where I was. So I used a flashlight and just pointed a single flashlight at me and sang quite quietly into the microphone because it was 3 a.m. or so, like 2 a.m, something like that. So yeah, that was that project, and just pick these songs that I could perform, just me and my guitar, on a drive that I loved. It was a lot less about any final product and trying to create something specific, and more about just like, I would love to do this. I'm just going to do this, Yeah. And then that kind of imbues the project itself with its own meaning for me, anyhow,
Yeah, and I feel like, a phrase that came to mind when I was prepping for this interview and thinking about it is like, the medium is the message.
Totally, Marshall McLuhan.
The words or whatever you're doing is one thing, but it's how it's presented and how it's like
absolutely
taken. And like, there's something beautiful in a world where everything is so polished that you're doing something that's like, you can feel the humanity in that project.
Totally. I love that, man. That is very much, I'm trying to kind of I'm trying to explore this more, I think one of the words that, it's kind of a buzzword in a way, ironically, in our time, at least here, this part of the world in our time, is authenticity. People want that stuff that's authentic. And we do, and I do, right? But then the tragically ironic thing is that things which appear authentic are considered more valuable, and so there's this incentive to appear authentic, and that in and of itself has this self-defeating quality. If you're trying to appear authentic, then there's some sort of go-between between the authentic you and the appearance of you. You can't wear a real mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't and still show your face, as it were. And so I'm trying to think like, what are ways that I can just. What does it sound like when I make music? How can I show people what it sounds like when I make music? I was playing with that on Instagram too earlier this summer. Instagram, again, I don't know if you can kind of actually swim in that pool and still be authentic, because it's all performative, really. But I kind of realized that the way the algorithm works now completely kind of screws over people like me, because I'm not going to play the game and try to like feed the algorithm so that it shows me stuff. I just don't want to do that. And therefore, it's not showing my stuff to my followers, basically, right? But I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to care. I'm just going to like do, like I was kind of trying to play a game where I was just doing these doodles with pencil crayons, literally. I was just trying to see what it was like to draw, and it wasn't very good, but I liked it. I was like, I'm just going to share that. That's what I did, so I put that out,
and how did it go?
Like 12 likes, Like, they didn't
get my camera, get my phone, I'm gonna like it right now. We're getting 13.
No, but that was the thing. Like, this is the experiment for me. I was like, it was a means of, if I was really serious about it, I'd just get rid of the app. But if I'm not going to get rid of the app, then I want to see how far I can remove myself from caring about the engagement of this thing, And so just doing that. And then with music, it's a similar trap you can fall into, where in my 20s, when I started putting music out, I was just kind of like, I got really anxious about it, really urgent about it, because I felt like I'd waited so long and I'd wasted so much time, and all my friends
You're in your early 20s.
Oh, it's how it feels, all right? Yeah.
We're downhill from here.
I was as old as I had been, Yeah. And I felt like this urgency. I got to get this stuff out. I got to do this. And consequently, I put out some really astoundingly mediocre music, Like
what to you qualifies it as mediocre?
I think I'll answer in two ways. The first, like, big picture way is that I feel like I can always tell there's this, and you might get this. You write music too.
Yeah.
When you're writing something and you just know, you're like, this is like approaching that ineffable, difficult like combination of cool harmony and catchiness, or whatever your metrics are for what you think is good. When you're getting close to that thing and it's original and it kind of sounds like you, as it were, it's like, oh, that's it. That's the thing, right? And so this is the big picture answer. And so a lot of that stuff that's out there doesn't do that. And it didn't do it when I wrote it. I just kind of think, oh, this is kind of cool. This is catchy. I got to put something
trendy, kind of.
Yeah, like at no point, if you'd asked me in those moments, like, are you trying to kind of placate some sort of, what people want to hear? I wouldn't have said yes, but I wonder if that's more because I would have been ashamed to say yes, more so than it was true. And so that's the first thing. The second thing, more specifically, what do I think is good, or like by what metrics do I measure the value or success of my own art? I'd say like I love so much interesting harmony. And when I say harmony, for those who aren't musicians, I don't mean like when someone sings along with a melody. I mean like the actual chord structures, the notes that go into making a chord. Not only that make the chord, but the relationship of one chord to the next, and the next and the next. And that's like the thing that really does it for me in the biggest way. That's the musical element that I'm most obsessed with. But then the way that the melody, if you can write a melody that's still catchy, even though the harmony is interesting, like that's really cool, right?
Yeah, that's where the Venn diagram.
Totally, like that's the Brian Wilson stuff or the Radiohead stuff or the like Elliott Smith stuff. That's my true north. And then song form and structure and then instrumentation and all that stuff. That's all in there too. But a lot of the stuff that I've put out in my 20s doesn't do that. It just doesn't. It's just like diatonic. It's all in the same key, maybe the odd chord thrown in just to kind of make me feel like I'm doing something creative. But it wasn't that good. Now, having said that, I think I probably had to go through that to get to where I am, maybe, but the stuff that I'm sitting on and have been for like 5 years I think it's pretty good. But because I think it's good, I'm all obsessed with trying to get it right now, and then I got to relearn that lesson that anything worth doing is worth doing badly, and just put it out and move on, probably.
And then that leads me to a question that I had for you. It's like, and this, I'm just gonna throw a grenade up, and you can just catch it.
Yeah.
It's like, what is success?
Oh, good.
Because let me tell you where my head's at on this. Is like, I think about success like, okay, you put out a song, you did your drive to Manitoulin, right? For me, in some regards, that's a success because you did it.
Yes.
And it's a success because it's a cool, like, concept album in a world where like people aren't doing concept albums.
Sure.
In another sense, like in theory, if it had have gotten 1 million views online, that's a success.
Sure.
But in order to get to that success, oftentimes that's more of a marketing success than it is an artistic success.
I think I know exactly what you mean.
Okay.
So I think that there's the way that I've been trying to think about this. This is like kind of a philosophical idea that I think is true, but that doesn't mean that I'm able to abide by it very well.
Right.
I think it's true that in order for anyone to actually feel success, feel like they have a sense of peace of their accomplishments and a sense of fulfillment in their life and this sort of thing, I think it has far more to do with being than it has to do with achieving or getting, acquiring. I think we really often confuse these two modes that we live in. By the way, this is all just secondhand work of John Vervaeke, the cognitive scientist at U of T. He's got a really cool course online called Awakening from the Meaning Crisis, and he talks about this at one point in those lectures. He's from Hamilton, too.
Oh, really?
It's very unlikely that he'll ever hear this, but if you are listening, John, thank you for your work. So he and someone else, I forget the other guy's name, but they developed these two modes, the having mode and the being mode. They describe the way we live using these two modes. The having mode is easy to understand. It's like, I need to have shelter, food, water, whatever. And then I think the being mode is the other mode, he says, where I need to be, this is a little harder to understand, but I need to be honest. In order for me to feel good about myself, I need to be kind, I need to be whatever, usually virtues, right? But a lot of the time we mistake, we have what he calls modal confusion, where I try to satisfy my being needs with having solutions. So I want to be mature, so I buy a nice car, because mature people have a nice car, right? I want to be in love, so I'll go and have some experiences with women or something, or whoever. And that's not going to do it. It's not going to do it, because to be a certain way is a state of being. It's nothing that you can apply, right? And so for me with music, if I want to be a musician, which has always been the dream of my life, still is. If I want to be a musician, then I need to sit at the piano, And if I'm sitting at the piano, then I am being a musician.
Right.
That's success.
Right.
If I want to make music, then I need to make music. Anything that isn't that won't satisfy that. I've been in videos that have got many millions of views, and it's cool. But like that's not the dream. That didn't move the needle on whether I felt like I was living according to what my dream is at all. Honestly, it didn't.
I think what you're saying is fantastic, and you all got to go back and listen to that. But I think when I have those moments of like success, we'll say external success.
Can you give me an example?
Oh, like, okay, I have a video that goes viral, gets 500,000, fantastic. Or I played Supercrawl. It was like
totally.
Like I'm not gonna. That was like a dream come true.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Eventually, that feeling's gonna wear off. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then that thing that you were reaching for
Yeah.
it disappears. That
It's a perpetual dissatisfaction.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
you get it, but then it's gone.
This is Eastern philosophy, Eastern thought. Like desire itself is just a state of dissatisfaction. We love desire. We love because it feels so good to satisfy. Why else would we be willingly addicted to coffee? Like we want to feel the desire for something and the satisfaction of the thing. But that's just a perpetual yearning. That's not peace.
No. And it's tough because it's but it's also fun.
Oh, it's so fun.
It's fun. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Playing Supercrawl, that was like easily like a watershed moment for me.
I remember the first time
you played Supercrawl.
I've done 3 times now. When I was playing it, I remember thinking, "Okay, enjoy this, because this may not happen again." And I've tried to feel that way about every one of those successes, as we're calling them. I've really tried to feel that way, and I don't think it's wrong to enjoy those things.
Right.
I just think that it is important that you know what your goal is. Just know what your goal is, because if you don't know what your goal, then you can fail at something you were hating anyways. As opposed to kind of becoming more the person you want to be. So for me, success is I want to know deep down in my conscience. I want to know that I am using the abilities that I've been given in a way that is meaningful, in a way that is deliberate. I don't want to waste my time, by which I mean just scroll on my phone. I don't want to do meaningless things.
Right.
I want my life to be as meaningful as possible, and being, by which I mean the verb, how you be, how you are. Being is where meaning lives.
And that goes back to what you said earlier in this conversation, where it's like, even if it's worth doing, it's worth
anything. Yeah, totally.
It.
Just do it. Yeah.
Because if you fail in it, or whatever failure is, if it's not,
if you don't get the views or whatever,
or if it's not of the quality you expected, that's one thing. And then if you happen to do something that really hits and really resonates with the world, or even resonates with you in a way that you didn't think it would, then it's
just gravy. That's
gravy.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
You've already succeeded. You've already enjoyed the process and done something you thought was meaningful. You could have done less meaningful things with that time.
Yeah, totally.
So you've already succeeded. Yeah. So pineapple belongs on Hawaiian pizza.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
I'm a sucker for anything that combines these 3 flavors: chocolate, peanut butter, and banana. Now, I don't know if such a flavor has a name. It probably does, but I try to, if there's chocolate, peanut butter, and banana, I'll combine them.
So it's like a banana split kind of.
I guess but with chocolate, peanut butter.
Instead of
Yeah.
We're here with Gareth Inkster. Check him out on the internet, Golden Feather. I've interviewed everybody in that band.
Really?
Except Murray.
Daniel Walton too?
I did with him for his Dreamland band.
That makes sense, yeah.
Before he was in
Golden Feather. Okay.
So, I love about Golden Feather is that you have so many great different instruments bouncing and balancing off each other. And so you play piano in that, and you played guitar beautifully on your recordings up to Manitoulin. I got to know, how many instruments does Gareth Inkster play?
I get asked this by students all the time. I've never counted, but I think as far as instruments that I can make a convincing sound on, but comfortably, I think I could say that I'm comfortable saying that I can play guitar and piano and enough violin. On my recordings, a lot of the time I'll play most of what you hear. So there's going to be on some of them is brass sections comprised of trumpets and trombones and euphoniums and stuff. But I'm not a trumpet player. I know how to make.
You can make notes in a recording.
The notes that I need, There's a whole world of tone and breath control and range and all sorts of stuff that I don't have. I teach high school music, so I can play those instruments at a very rudimentary level, at least to help kids get going, all of them. I recently came into possession of a drum set. My buddy Nate Wall gave me his old Ludwig breakbeats kit. So I've got that in the garage, and I love it. I go out there and I just put a record on in my headphones and just drum along.
Isn't that fun?
And, oh my gosh, it's the most fun I've had playing an instrument in a long time. There's a different part of me. It feels like playing guitar in high school again,
Yeah.
And it's so fun. So I've actually kind of gotten, I'm not a drummer, but I'm aware that I've gotten better. I played the drums on one of my tracks before I came into the position of this drum set, and I'm like, dang, I wish I'd had a couple months to practice before that,
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
That is recording, though.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I can carry a tune. I don't have a great voice. I sing with what I got, but I sing to that much as well.
Okay, what's one instrument if you could wake up tomorrow and be proficient in?
Can I choose an instrument that I already play and just be better at it?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I mean, my first thought was that I'd love to be better at piano. Not kidding. I want to be good at jazz and stuff, and I can do it in so far, like to such a point that people that don't know think I can do it.
Right.
But then
when you're
I know the difference, right?
Yeah,
it's a being thing. I can make people think I'm good at jazz piano. But that doesn't satisfy my deep existential need to know that I'm being a good musician, right?
You and I are, that's me on guitar, baby.
Yeah, it's how it is, right?
I can throw some ninth chords in there.
Yeah. It's like
fake out some people, but anyways.
But like if an instrument that I've never encountered, or at least don't play, I don't know if this is true. The first thing that came to mind was bagpipes. I think it'd be awesome to play the bagpipes.
Just wake up one day,
just be like,
hey guys.
Yeah, I don't even know what it means to be good at I don't know enough about them to know what will be good or not, right? But I'm Scottish, and I'm just like, whenever they come in and Mull of Kintyre by McCartney there, it's just like stirring, I want to march against England or something.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and it's as someone who is a teacher, right, and so you teach music, obviously, and so you're around it all day, and you're inspiring, and like I think just being in that environment actually kind of keeps your skills sharp in so many ways.
I think so.
That like someone who isn't in that environment just doesn't have those kind of
totally
little reps all day.
Yeah, like even like I run the choir at the school, right? And so I'll be doing choir practice, and so like I'm able to just read the music and know what to sing, and like that's only because I just do it all the time, Like I'm sure that I could have learned that in high school or learned that in university and then not done it for 10 years and lost it.
Yeah.
But just because I'm keeping it sharp, like you say, like there's I don't know, you got to keep the car, you got to drive the car to keep it in good shape, It'll rust out if you don't drive it, kind of thing. So I feel very lucky to be in that position. And that comes back to the being thing,
Yeah.
I was talking to Murray about this the other day because we were talking about like jobs and music and stuff.
Sure. As the conversation with musicians
often is, right?
Is, yeah.
And he was basically saying, we were saying really that like, it's never been a question of whether or not it will be music. It's just a matter of how, I think for some people they'll go through music, and I don't mean to cast aspersion on anyone, but some people may go to music school and then like conclude that, this isn't for me because how do I put a roof over my head? So never mind, I'll get a business degree or something. And if that's what people have done, there's no shame in that whatsoever. Just for me personally, I can speak for myself. I don't, oh man, that would be really hard, A year ago, I was watching random YouTube, and the algorithm kicked up in front of me one evening this video. It was about this mathematician named Andrew Wiles, and he was this British guy who had fallen in love with this concept, this problem, when he was young. He was born, I'm going to guess, he was born in like the 30s or so, 40s. He fell in love with Fermat's last theorem. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, Fermat, but I think he's French. Fermat's last theorem. And as I understand it, Fermat, in his margins, he would constantly write these conjectures. He's like, I've just found the solution for this conjecture, but I don't have the space or time to write it right now. And he had tons of these. And I'm pretty sure this is all correct. This isn't relevant terribly, but it is. But they over the years, and this is like 300 years ago or something like that, over the years, they all got solved except one. And the last one that didn't get solved, it was like, it's impossible to prove that a to x plus b to the x equals c to the x if x is greater than 3, I think is what it was. Something simple. It looked like Pythagoras' theorem, but it was a little
looked
different.
Simple, but when you actually started to break it down and move it around, it like
exactly. So a kid could understand the concept. So that was why I was exciting him as a kid. Like, I understand this, but no one could prove that it was impossible to prove. Like, that was the conjecture. You can't prove this. No one could prove it. People tried. No one did. The greatest minds for a couple centuries tried, couldn't do it. This kid, Andrew Wiles, as a kid, he's like, I want to do it. I want to do this. So he goes through his life. It's always something he's kind of half interested in. He's got one foot in that camp the whole time. And then he got a job as a professor, wife and kids, yada yada. And then at one point these other people did this other problem. They solved it. And he's like, oh, I can use part of their method for this, I think. And I forget what their names were, as two European sounding names. And then for 7 years, he'd go to his work, he'd come home, he'd have dinner, he'd put the kids to bed, and then he'd go up to his study. And only his wife knew that he was trying to do this.
Uh-huh.
Because like, how embarrassing would that be to be like, I'm going to do it? Yeah. Like Einstein couldn't do it, but I'm going to do it. You know, you don't admit that, right? It'd be as ridiculous as admitting that you want to be a musician or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But he did it. He did it. And then finally, after 7 years, he cracked it.
Okay.
And in this you can watch these interviews on YouTube, and he was describing. I promise this is all leaving somewhere.
I know.
Okay.
You're landing this plane.
I am, man. I promise.
It.
He was describing the moment of resolution when he realized what happened, and he got emotional. He just couldn't find the words, and he was tearing up. And then I found that I was tearing up as I was watching this, and it was more than just like kind of a sympathetic thing. Like I felt very moved. And he said, you know, like it was the most beautiful moment of my life. It was the most fulfilling moment of my professional career. I had the rare privilege to do in my adult life what I had always dreamed of as a child. And he's saying all these things, and I'm just like, why? You know, Frederick Buechner, one of my favorite writers, he says, listen to your life, especially to the moments in which you find yourself in unexpected tears, because they're probably trying to tell you something. You know, there's something in you being very moved. Like you better want to know what that is, right? And for me, I had that thought as I was like, why am I weeping over math? You know, like unlike I did in high school probably, but that was a different thing. Different cheers. And the reason I think it occurred is because I was witnessing the fruit of a man who, someone who stuck, who it was the being thing. He wanted to be a mathematician that worked on Fermat's last theorem. Because one of the things he said was, the entire time, no matter how difficult, no matter how frustrating, no matter how many dead ends there were, I loved every moment of it. And I have felt that before. I have been so mad at some part for not working, or for my computer for freezing while working on music, and it keeps like generally a negative experience, but it's a negative experience in the direction of something I'm passionate about and love, you know, and that's a greater piece, you know, actually that's it's a love thing, you know. I imagine parents might feel this way about their kids sometimes, right? Like there's a sense of
actually, yeah.
Do you have kids?
No.
Okay, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or even being a teacher. Like,
yeah, totally.
There's parallels.
I've yelled at my kids and they think I'm mad at them. Like, I'm not mad at you. I just like
really care.
I care about what we're trying to do together. Right? Totally. So I was witnessing this Andrew Wiles guy, like, in the same way that, like, if I want to be a musician, I got to be a musician, right? Like, he was being a mathematician that worked on Fermat's last theorem, and therein lay the meaning of his life. Whether he solved it or not didn't change the fact that he loved every minute of it, because every minute of it was actually living in accordance to who he had to be.
I think I'm very similar to you in the sense.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Whereas, like, I meet you and you're like a very outgoing, cheery, excited kind of person, and you've got like when you're on stage with Golden Feather, you're like bah, 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 you're all over the place, and then you put out your own personal stuff, and it's very like introspective and thoughtful. And I think that like that dichotomy of like outgoing and thoughtful is something that I personally really resonate with.
I was going to ask,
yeah.
Do you have like what is success to you, or what is like the being solution for you? What's something that you pursue?
It's a hard question to answer. I think money really
complicates
the whole thing, and the system that we live in really complicates it. So it's like, to
describe a perfect. Okay, I love asking this question to people at the bar. I just interrupted you. I hope that's okay. If you had, let's say you had $100K as a salary guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay, bi-weekly payments comes in, but you don't have to work for it.
Yeah.
What do you do with your time?
I would do this.
This is what you do.
I do the podcast.
Then this is great.
Yeah.
So few people can say that.
Yeah.
You know?
This is honestly, it's like my favorite thing to do. This is my favorite hour of the week. Where it's just like two musicians just chatting music. I get to be involved. I've said this before too. I don't know if I've said it on this air, so if you're hearing it, it's like I would make content for my own bands. And I'd be like, hey, come see my show.
You'd keep being a musician and making music. Yeah.
And it's like, great, fine, I have to make content. But like once I started making content where I'm promoting other musicians, there was just like this like fulfillment that I was missing.
That's awesome.
It's cool that I found this.
Yeah.
And being someone who likes to talk and likes to share stories and understand kind of where media is right now, where it is a lot of storytelling, it's kind of like a perfect kind of avenue. Yeah. Right? So like, the question is like, where I'm at, sponsors.
Do you have sponsors?
I don't.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but like that's the thing. Like one thing I'd love to have is like, yeah, if I can make this a sustainable thing, this is it. I love this.
Don't you just love Yamaha instruments?
Go on. What strings do you use?
I love my Yamaha YC88.
How about you? I'll throw it back at you
Sure.
as kind of a wrap up here.
Are you asking a specific question or just the money thing? That question?
You have $100,000 a year, which is like livable. It's a livable.
It's a better question than if you won the lottery, right?
Yeah,
I want to put constraints on it still.
Yeah, it's livable. Now, obviously, you're doing teaching, which I can sense that you love and you have passion for. But like,
wasn't the plan, but I feel so grateful for it at this point. Yeah, like it's beautiful. Yeah, I would try to slow down. I think is the first thing that always comes to mind. I try to I have this very idyllic idea of just leaving my slippers by my bedside every night kind of thing and then putting them on in the morning and stuff. It's so hard to do because my room is so seldom clean enough to see them.
Where do I put those slippers? I need 8 pairs.
But I have little regions of chaos in my life, and my room is definitely one of them. But my car is another, and probably my desk at work is another. But I would slow down. So I want to spend each morning without any screen or I just want to spend mornings just with the coffee and my thoughts, and journal maybe. But the main thing, rather than going through each day, I would, man, you just got to make music, I want to be better at piano. I want to learn how to play more Bach. I want to learn how to play more jazz. I want to play more drums. I want to record more music. I just want to keep, showing my work, as it were. I honestly can't imagine, tying it up to the success thing. If I was doing that, then I would be living a rich life. There are other things that I want for my life too. Like the relationships and connections and stuff. But as far as the stuff that I have control of in my immediate, that would be it. And honestly, it's so necessary to remind ourselves of these things because while I do have a job that I have to go to Monday through Friday, and I love the job and whatnot. I do have free time as well, and how I use that is pretty indicative of how I would actually probably spend that time if I had the money, right? So you got to just use what you got, and so seldom do I do that sufficiently, but I do work on it,
One last question for you.
Sure.
You're driving to Manitoulin.
Yeah.
What snacks you packing? Oh,
good. I have a bit of a ritual on that drive. Very low bar ritual where I stop at these particular Tim Hortons on the way. I love good coffee, but there's something that just feels so like a long drive in Canada. It needs to be Tim Hortons for me. I don't defend that. That's just how it is. Yeah. If you're watching Tim Hortons,
Tim Hortons. This rip off my shirt. Tim Hortons shirt underneath.
I got this. We're sporting Guinness here.
We're working on
watching Guinness.
We're working on it.
Yeah, so I usually I stop at exit 214, which is just south of Parry Sound. I'll get a coffee there. It's the last remaining Licks is there, by the way.
Oh,
remember Licks?
Yeah.
And then I'll stop off at French River. You have to get off the highway now. It doesn't matter. I'll stop at French River now, and then there's a spot where I can walk down onto the rocks there, and sometimes I jump in if it's nice. And then I'll stop at if I'm hurting and it's late at night, I'll drive into Sudbury to get one, to get a coffee. That is Espanola. Otherwise, is the next one. But the snacks sour cream glaze is the best donut in Tim Hortons, and that's an objective. That's an objective fact.
Guy knows.
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy knows the sour cream glaze.
Yeah, it can't be beat.
No,
it can't be beat. It's so good, and the combination of sour cream glaze with the coffee is really something. That sour, sweet, bitter.
Boom, boom, boom.
This is perfect.
Can I tell you my sour cream glaze
story?
I remember I had to eat it once because it was the last donut in a thing, and it was younger, and I had never. It looks unappealing.
Yeah, it looks like it's broken.
It looks broken. It looks like a broken original.
Yes. Yeah,
I can still remember that moment.
Yeah. There was a before and after for you.
Yeah. Oh, the sour cream glaze.
Yeah. It's the best one, right?
It's the best one.
Yeah, so I'll get that, Brad and I sometimes just get Timbits. We'll just get 10 of them in Timbits kind of thing,
Timbits are good.
Brad and I are often the ones driving in Golden Feather.
Yeah.
But it's probably the sour cream glaze and the coffee kind of thing. I remember once I was driving up there with someone and they brought all these healthy snacks. And I remember thinking, this is a great idea. I should do this. And I've never done it since. I just don't plan. I can't plan.
Well,
yeah.
There's still time.
Yeah, that's right.
Gareth, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Next time you come on, I want to hear about the stop motion.
Oh, yeah, gladly. Yeah, that was a whole thing too.
Next time.
This
Gareth,
is killer.
from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Buddy.
What a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Gareth Inkster, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.
Fun, man. This is so fun.
That's a wrap, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
Great job.